So welcome everyone. I think now 3-5 we can start. We have enough people here to start with. So we were just continuing, those of us who don't join us regularly. I think it's okay even if you join in between whenever you can. Although it's always good to have a continuity, but nevertheless it's like all relevant stuff which one resonates with. So it's okay to join even midstream. So we were actually following this book. It's actually mostly, not everything, but mostly there is this book on psychic education. It's maybe inverted for you by Huppes, N. Huppes. Yeah. And it's all based on the writings of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. It's like a workbook, like it has several exercises for making the psychic come to front and not follow the movements which are not from the psychic. So that's what we have been following. And I think last time we almost stopped here at effort, if I'm not wrong. So we'll just pick up threads from here, what is the importance of effort, how to put it. And in effort then comes about the part about will, and with will comes the part about rejection of lower movements. And yeah, so let us continue, and in between we will pause and share reflections and questions. Yeah. So I think it's good to present it. Yeah, like this, it's better. So anything that we want to do, we need to put in effort. And even if we have to make some cooking, we have to do, maybe buy something from shop, we have to get up, go and, do the stuff. Or at least even if we are online ordering, we have to take up the phone and, put some effort, move our fingers. So anything that we want to do basically requires effort. And changing ourselves requires a lot of effort. We all know, I think all of us have been on this path, and we know that how much of effort is required if we really want to change ourselves. What it means what it means not to make an effort. Mother's words on this: to go on making the same mistake. So I am aware that it's something not really beautiful in me that I am following, and yet every time I follow that movement, following the same mistake, same error, repeating it, knowing that it must not be made, is an act of cowardice which we must not permit ourselves. And the upside is that whenever we are able to make an effort, whether it's an outer effort or maybe an inward effort, we see that it gives us joy. So Mother says that it is the effort which gives joy. A human being who does not know how to make an effort. So I see some ugly movement in me. I see an egoistic ripple in me, and I don't make any effort to reject it or to offer it to the divine or to transform it, transmute it. I don't make any effort. Will never find any joy. So it's the effort that gives the joy. Those who are essentially lazy will never find joy. They do not have the strength to be joyful. These are Mother's words. It is effort which gives joy. Effort makes the being vibrate at a certain degree of tension, which makes it possible for you to feel the joy. So this is very interesting. And maybe some of us have experienced this many a times when we are able to put some effort. We know that this is not the right movement to follow. We have not been able to really do anything about it, but there is a knowing which knows that it's not a very beautiful movement in me, and I would like to transform it. I like to offer it to the Mother. And the moment we do that, there is a deep sense of joy that we feel. It may not last very long, but still it is there. So that's the upside of effort, although it requires a little bit of energy and difficult to move from our comfort zones. But when we put it, we find joy. So keep sharing in between whenever you have anything to share. Otherwise, I'll just move on. And then in effort, one has to will it. I have to will it. I have to want it. Only then I'll be able to put effort. So something on here on the will. Normally, the process of conscious purification will continue for years. And those of us who have been here on the path, we know that it just goes on and on and on. If the right will is at your disposal, things can move faster. For an effective use of the will, self-awareness is needed. So I am aware of my inner movements, what is beautiful, what is ugly. Okay, I want this, I don't want to be there. So this kind of the microscope turning within. Because each part of you has its own will. So the mind wants something else, the emotions are saying something else, and the body wants to be somewhere else. So this is how we are split apart within. Through self-observation, you will discover that you have a higher will based on the truth of your innermost being. So although the surface consciousness is still attached to little trivia here and there, some emotional attachments in relationships, or maybe some regrets over past things, that's the surface thing. But the innermost being, what does that want? So through self-observation only, I will discover that what is it that my innermost being wants. Then you have a lower will, the will of the lower or the outer vital. And lower is not in a derogatory sense, since everything has a place in evolution of human consciousness. It's lower in the grades of, like, you have a step like a ladder, and you have lower steps, and then you have higher steps. Lower or the outer vital, the surface vital, what we call the personality, ego personality, which is generally the main supporting power of the choices of outer nature. That part of us which is conditioned by our culture, by our upbringing, and it's kind of a rigid, solid entity almost for us, although it has nothing solid about it. But yes, for us, it's a living, rigid entity. That's why outer nature is often full of desires and rather egoistic. So we have an image about ourselves, and then all the time I want to preserve that image. So I'm making it more and more solid for myself. That's the outer surface personality. And there's an outer will, the will which is preserving that self-image. And then there is an inner will, which is coming from the deepest, innermost being. The mental will stands in between these two wills, and it can follow after the lower vital will or after the higher or spiritual will. So if I have a little bit of grasp over my mental will, like mentally I am able to exert an effect over what path should I be taking in this moment, either to follow the higher innermost will or to follow the will of the ego consciousness. There the things can shift. That is where one can shift things, that I know this is not good for me, and let me follow the higher inner spiritual will. So anything so far? Anyone wants to share anything? Okay, I'll continue. Another case. It is important that mental will comes under your conscious control, because it can either cooperate with the outer vital will, the emotional being, the outer ego personality. This is me, who I am, and I need to preserve this, that one, that self-image, because it can either cooperate with the outer vital will, or it can cooperate with the inner higher will. So what is happening here is, according to Mother and Sri Aurobindo, we are moving from desire soul to true soul. We are all sticky in nature. We all have seen that we are very sticky in nature. We stick to things and people and ideas for a completion, a sense of completion. That is the desire soul. It's always desiring and desiring and desiring. But that's not who I truly am. That's just a outer covering. What I have to do is to recognize that the desire soul is there, it is in operation, and then to slowly reject its movements and move to the inner or the true soul. So that's the cooperation that is required to notice the movements of desires and ambition and greed and all that, and finally choose not to follow them, so that what is followed is the higher will, inner will. Mental will, or the reason, mental will, reason, it can give favorable reasons to obey the lower outer will, that this is why I should follow this emotional demand. So I can easily provide 10 reasons for that, that in the past this happened, and then in the future this is going to happen. So these are my reasons that I should follow this emotional, the desire of the emotional being. Or it can give reasons to support the truth of your being. So that's the beauty, that it can go anywhere. Just like if I have a knife, I can use either to kill somebody, or I can use for good purposes, to maybe chop vegetables and serve somebody. So the mental will is something like that. I can either support or fuel and patrol the egoistic consciousness, or I can support the inmost, deepest part of me. So I have to again and again be very vigilant. What am I supporting right now? What am I supporting right now? Am I supporting a self-image? Just an image in my head? I'm just putting all the energy in preserving that. Or I am supporting something deeper. Only I would know. No one else can be the judge. So it takes effort so that the mental will begins to obey the higher will. It is to be taught, just like we train a pet or ourselves, we have to train the will so that slowly it obeys the higher will, inner will. That brings in conscious control in the being. So something is happening on the surface, emotions are going up and down, and thought are saying this and that, but I am not following all of that. I am choosing that thought which resonates with my deepmost, innermost truth. That is the thought I am choosing. I am not choosing all the up and down and letting it sway me. Now the choice is in my hand, a bit, if not all, a bit at least. So that's the beginning of conscious control. Yeah, anything here? Anyone? I don't want to just keep on speaking.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
It's a very small example.
Yeah.
Today morning, my maid came. Usually she comes, she takes leave very often. And usually I go with the flow. As you say, I get swayed away. Say I have to do it because I have rheumatoid arthritis. Sometimes it's very difficult for me to get up and do the regular normal work. So today morning she came and the odd time, and she told me that today I'm taking leave. So I really got, that moment I really got irritated, and they said, you could have told me before, so I would have made some other arrangement. Then she said, if there is some dishes there, I will wash and go. And her reason is right, because she has to go for the second dose of vaccination. But first, my push was, I got irritated and said, then after some time, I told her, see, you cannot take all these type leaves. Diwali, you took 10 days leave, and then you keep on taking leave and blah, 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 blah. For 5 sentences, I was not in my control because of maybe my health condition. But after, when I took the 6th, when I was about to say the 6th sentence, then I said, no, I have to come back. And as in that workshop, you said, come back to your breath. And then I came back, and then slowly turned, okay, it's fine. Her reason is anyway valid. My condition is forcing me to talk, but I should not dash. I should make something which is easy and manageable. So I became very quiet, and at least I was happy that I was able to apply a little bit from my part, though I got into the moment. I came back, and then so that one small thing, I felt good. Yes, I was able to, and then after that, so okay, Otherwise, what even she will leave, but mine will keep on telling. See, this is what happening. Everybody is cheating you. Everybody it didn't stop. It didn't do anything like that this time. And but after that, I saw your message saying that there is a session today. Okay, then I was about to finish all my work very fast so that I can attend the session. So that I thought maybe one drop, one even in a small thing, if I can put some effort, not in all the things that is happening in every day, but at least one time. At least I was conscious that I was going away from where I should be.
That's really very powerful. Thank you for sharing. Yes. Yeah. And I think as you shared that this little effort, although you were able to, as you know, we all do, because old habits die hard. So we will get swayed. We don't have to be in guilt or shame that, oh my God, I got swayed again. We will get swayed, but the idea is to catch ourselves getting swayed. And that's what you were able to do. So that's really very beautiful, that although 5 sentences were said in the, the swayed movement, but then you were able to calm down. And the thing that you shared, that this little effort made you feel good. That's what Mother is sharing, that effort gives us joy. Yeah. So beautiful. Yes. Beautiful. Yeah. Anyone else? Anything here? Yes, Swapna.
Yeah, I really resonated with the last speaker. Thank you for being so honest and authentic, and absolutely with you. And the other thing that comes to me is how the thing that seems to stand in the way of following that mental will, that would support my higher rather than the lower, is the strength of feeling in the body. So how, just becoming very aware of how, if there's stress in my solar plexus, or anxiety or fear is manifesting as tightness in the chest or in the throat or stomach, then those physical sensations support the will, like the lower part, and somehow is a barrier to my making, or being, it seems it's a barrier to finding the way to the effort.
So Swapna, if I'm not wrong, you're saying that when these strong, specifically negative emotions are there, then there is unease in the body. Is that what you're sharing?
Yes.
Yes. So, and you are saying that maybe this bodily unease is supporting the lower vital.
Yeah, it seems a barrier to accessing the effort, to pull out.
Look at it in a different way, because how I am able to see what you're sharing is that the body is actually supporting you making a right choice. How? Because the body is making you feeling uneasy. It's not a happy feeling.
Yes.
So, although it appears that it's supporting, it's actually not supporting. It is making you aware that something is wrong.
Yes. Yes, true.
So Mother says that body is a very docile instrument. It is very pure and innocent. And that's the reason, whenever we are able to clear away our clutter of emotions, the chakras open. The body tells,
Right.
when the chakras a bit, even if they are a bit kind of going on and churning here and there, you sense like here or here, all these chakras, you feel that, okay, this is the right way. So the body tells. So I feel that, yes, intensity, I have been at these places also, which you are referring, that at times emotions are so intense that you're not able to put effort, the right effort. And in those times, one thing which may help, again, coming from my experience, and others are welcome to share, which helped me. Once something in me decided that I don't want to follow this. It is there. I see it. It's bothering. I see it. It's not that I am over it, but I don't want to follow it. I don't want to. So you don't actually it will come in the further slides. You do not follow the dictate of that intense, overwhelming emotion. You just stay as good as dead, staying with the bodily sensations. Okay, I am here. Like, as we say, being our best friend, I'm here. I'm here. almost like how you console a little child. I'm here, I'm here with you, almost like that, but not making any action that would follow the dictate of the intense emotion, which you don't now want to follow. And then the sensations in the body, unpleasant sensations, they also soothe down slowly when you do not follow the dictate. So in my experience, the unease has always indicated to me that I am in the grip of ego. And it has been
absolutely
help.
No, I know, like I can use a concrete example, from last night to today, of like, exactly, you're right, the body's unease was indicating, okay, away from truth, one could say, right? And then not taking any outward action and trying to stay with breath or praying to the mother to calm, even imagining like the mother's hands, Sri Aurobindo's hands on my body at those centers, right? To bring their peace and calm into my body. And I noticed it would abate and get better. And then it could come back again, abate and come back, And so it's just a really interesting process. I'm still in it, of kind of how often it can drop away and then repeat. And I guess it seems, I'm in the experiment of like, okay, there's nothing else to do except to keep coming back to.
And so actually there is something we can do. So what I said regarding the outward action is that I'm not going to follow the dictate of the intense emotion, which I know is coming from the egoistic state, right? I'm aware of it. It's giving me unpleasant unease within the body. I am aware of it. Okay. But I don't want to follow what the head is saying. The egoistic state, what it wants to say, I don't want to follow because I have followed it enough and I don't really want to be there anymore. Now, what I do parallelly, along with keeping on being in the body with the sensations, I am here for you, talking to myself. Along with that, one thing which actually really helps in rehabilitating myself is that I give myself something higher to distract. This is also something by the mother only. She says that don't give much importance to, this little ego. Don't give much importance. So the emotion is saying, do this, do that, that person did that, and whatever drama is going on in the head, not to give that drama too much of importance, rather than first of all coming back to the body with the breath and then engaging myself, distracting myself. Distraction is actually good here, in something higher and lofty. So either I may begin to read a book which is by the mother or whatever resonates with me, or do some work which is higher and lofty. For example, I do transcription, so I can engage myself there. Or I can just, if I want to, be with the breath, be with the sensations. Okay, I'm here with you, this too shall pass, something like that. And or even going out, meeting a friend, because otherwise that thing in the head makes it appear so real that becomes the world for me. While if I engage myself in something better and higher and lofty, it just tells me that there are better things to do in the world and being engaged in. So that parallel rehabilitation, as we talk about, I say that we are all addicts to our stories. And if we want to rehabilitate, we have to give ourselves something good and challenging. Some good work, some challenging work. That really, personally, I'm again coming from my personal experience, that it really helps, especially when one is swayed by intense emotions, which one does not want to be there, does not want to follow them.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I agree with you. And when you say that, I realize like, oh, it always makes sense when I hear it or I'm reminded. And then again, also noticing like, oh yeah, I have to catch that voice that will argue, right? Like, no, but you have to sort this out, right? Like if it's a worry or a problem, you have to sort it out before you can, using your examples, like do the transcription or read the book or go for a walk. But actually, no, it just needs to be followed through. Like, no, just do that positive thing. And at night is my other challenge. If I'm not able to sleep, then I stay in bed hoping to stay with the breath and fall asleep. But actually, even at night, once, I think maybe it's better just to get up and do some work. If you really can't fall asleep, you know, maybe it's not worth trying to fall asleep and just lie there, because it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
That'll be my new approach tonight if I can't.
Yeah. I think it's okay to let the dots be unresolved in the outer world. They will never actually really get resolved. The answers that we want from life, the maybe the arguments that we would like to have with people who we have loved or have cared for, let them not come. And even then I can be okay. I think that's the place when we were talking of no mud, no lotus, you know, there also I felt that in the middle of all the unresolved dots, can I be resolved still? Can I find a place within me which is at ease and at peace and joyous? Although I have not gotten all the answers in the external world or in my head, which is actually the external world only. So yeah. And regarding sleep also, I also, you know, many a times, sometimes I have coffee at night, so I can't sleep. And I use it as a time to experiment how long I can stay with the breath and being aware of being aware. So even lying down, being consciously with breathing in, breathing out, being aware of being aware, seeing how easily you get lost in the thoughts again and again. So many experiments can be done lying down, you know, even when we are not really falling asleep. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Yes. Anyone else? Anything here? So I'll go ahead in that case. I think, yeah, it was here. So here, would someone like to read this? This is by the mother. It would be nice if one of you can, one of us can read this. It would be good.
Yeah, I'll read one.
Yes, Shweta, yes.
How to develop a strong will. Oh, as one strengthens muscles by methodical exercise, you take one little thing, something you want to do or don't want to do. Begin with a small thing. And then, if for instance, it is something you are in the habit of doing and shouldn't do, or not doing and should start doing, you insist on it with the same regularity. You see either not to do it or to do it. You insist on it and compel yourself to do it as you compel yourself to lift a weight. As you compel yourself to lift a weight, it's the same thing. You make the same kind of effort, but it's more an inner effort. And gradually, if you do this regularly, you will end up by acquiring an independent and a very strong will.
Yeah, sorry for the errors. Just a second. Yeah, so this is lift. I don't know why I have to be more conscious. This is so many errors here. So yes, you know, I think the example that Jayashree ji gave in the beginning, that was a beautiful example, very little small baby step, that she was in this flow, swayed with the intensity. She knew that she did not want to be there, and she came back to herself again and stopped wherever she was able to stop herself. So that's a very good example of almost what Mother shares here. You know, it's almost like gymming. So the first day when you go at gym, you don't give yourself 20 kgs of weight, right? You start with maybe 5 or 6 kgs in the beginning, or even lower, and slowly you build up muscles. So very little issues, like the example that Jayashree gave was a very good example, that to make an effort to make the change there, you know, to become more and more conscious of whatever is going on in my day-to-day 24 hours of life, because this is one with all life is yoga, you know, everything is spirituality. I cannot have like half an hour or 2 hours for spirituality and rest of the life is something else. It all is one. Otherwise, there'll be a deep, intense turmoil within that, what is really happening. So, yeah, I think this is, I don't have to really say anything else on this, because the example already, Jayashrie's example was a beautiful example of how to strengthen the will. And just like that, in those little moments, wherever I become conscious, I stop. I'm able to stop myself. That it's not important to win an argument. More important to be home within. That's more important. Yeah. So it's an inner effort. I think that's what we were talking about. You make the same kind of effort as you do in gymming, but it's more an inner effort. And gradually, if you do this regularly, again, practice, without practice, nothing can happen. You will end up by acquiring an independent and very strong will. Now, this will is not dependent on what emotions are saying or what the body is saying. This will is always at the side of the truth. That's the beauty. That's the beauty. Inner truth, guided by the truth within. So now it can guide even the emotions, what is good for you. Now it can guide even the thoughts, okay, what is good for you. So this is like a developing a higher inner, deeper will. Yeah. So how to will, I think in conjunction with it, we cannot ignore the importance of becoming conscious of our movements. I'm vigilant that something is happening. कहते हैं ना मैंने हिंदी में मेरे कान खड़े हुए हैं. So all the time I'm vigilant, I'm awake to what are the movements happening within me. Without that vigilance and self-observation, I'll not be able to put the effort at the right place. So vigilant self-observation required, so that we detect the small thing or mistake and make it not renew itself. So next time, maybe now today I was able to stop after I had said 10 sentences. Next time, after 5 sentences, I'm able to stop. So again, a step further, right? There is a short moment where you have the choice to give in to the flow of the ego, or to resist repeating the same mistake. So what do I choose? Again, the idea of free will. What do I choose every movement? Every moment, what am I choosing? The egoistic state of consciousness or the higher will? And this now, the paragraph below is from the mother. If anyone would like to read, would be nice.
Yeah. Can I read?
Yeah, please, Rakhi, yes.
To will truly, you must unify your being. In fact, to be a brain, one must unify oneself. If one is pulled by absolutely opposite tendencies, if one spends 3/4 of his life without being conscious of himself and the reasons why he does things, is one real being. One is a mass of influences, movements, forces, actions, reactions, but one is not a being. One begins to become a being when one begins to have a will.
Monica, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry. There's so much going on the screen that I'm confused. So yeah, thank you. So I was sharing that as if we are 10 different individuals. Mother says that we are so many personalities within that. At every moment, one personality is working. Then in the next moment, the other personality is working. So, what we say, the bin pende ka lota, that we don't have really an integrity in our being. So the moment I begin to now take side of the higher will within, where I stay with the truth, which is beneficial for me and the other person, there I begin to unify myself. So now from becoming from being many individuals, now I am becoming one individual. And Mother says that this actually becoming an individual is the first thing which actually comes before surrender, because when I am going to offer myself, what will I surrender to? The divine. When I don't even know who I am. So first you have to become truly an individual, like having a unified personality, having what Mother would say, that ego has a purpose. Ego is a helper, but ego is the bar. So ego has a purpose because it solidifies or makes a beautiful individuality. Slowly we develop into a beautiful human being, and then that individuality one can offer to the divine for divine's purpose. And Mother says that what will you offer if you don't have anything to offer? So becoming an individual first, knowing what I truly want, what is the inmost calling of my being, becoming that unique individuality that each one of us is. And then comes the part of surrendering that individuality to the divine for whatever is the purpose of this life. So this unification is necessary also because it makes us feel okay about ourselves. Otherwise, we are always split apart by this emotion, that thought, this thought, always struggling within. So can there be an individuality which is more like one? Mother says we are not one being. So can we become one being, that the mind also obeys, the emotions also are obeying, and the body also obeys? So there is one person who is enthroned as the king. It's not that the thought is their own king and the emotions are their own king. Body is there, has her own, jurisdiction, and no one is listening to each other. So it's like a total chaos. So when we begin to come back again and again to ourselves and follow the inner guidance, there we begin to unify ourselves. That there is one king, which is the inner guiding light, which always is clinging to truth, nothing but truth. It recognizes falsehood, so it clings to truth. And that's why it is able to exert and control over the mental, the emotional, and the physical being. So that's really very beautiful. The picture it creates, it's very beautiful. And also what Shri Krishna has these, horses, which he's kind of controlling. He's taking charge of those horses. So as if there is something in me which now becomes in charge of all the senses and emotions. So is that a possibility? That is becoming unified. That my completion now is not dependent on what I get from the senses. I am complete because I am settled in a place within, which is a whole place, which is a complete place. Knowing myself as whole, knowing that nothing from the world and senses can complete me. Now I can become in charge of the senses. But it cannot be before I taste the divine nectar within, because if I get a better taste, then I will be able to leave the lower taste of consumption and greed and whatever comes in the name of the senses. But if I am stationed at a place which is whole and complete within, then even the senses can be used for a good purpose. We don't have to shun the senses. Just like learning art or music or any instruments, refining our senses, that all comes in this domain. That only when I see myself as whole within, then where do I put this energy? I refine my senses, because knowing that I cannot complete myself from the senses, the consumption through the senses, all the kind of sense pleasures that one can indulge in, but they don't complete us. So again, not shunning the senses, but rather using the senses to make our life beautiful, to be creative, to be more to pouring your energy out. Yeah, anything we want to share here? Anything that comes to anyone? Okay, so I'll just go ahead. So this is also very interesting, where it says, are we aware of movements of choice, that we have a choice, where one side is pulled by lower forces and other by higher forces. So an inner light now is a little awake. It's not completely sleeping. It's a little awake. It can see the movements of the ego consciousness or the limited self, my little petty issues. It can also see the pull of something higher within, some peace calling within, or something telling you that, no, don't go there again in the drain. Find out what do you have to do in order to make the higher forces win. So just being more conscious and aware of my own inner movements, that in which case, what happens when I'm able to exert more control, conscious control over making the higher forces win. So I think the workbook just had a few examples here. Friends with other aims than yours, because many a times we have older company of friends which have been continuing for years, although we have changed, but the company is still there. Which the aim of those friends is different from our now different aims that I have right now. So if I go back in that company again and again, I'm pulled to those domains where I don't want to go. And many a times it happens that our friends or companies change. We change our communities that we felt comfortable with. It may have happened with many of us. We lose many friends on this path because we don't resonate with those aims anymore. But then we also make new, because everyone has their own journey. So we also make new friends who resonate with the aims that we have right now for our life. So this can happen that if I am still retaining an older company and the aims are very different from my aims right now, then it can happen, this struggle can happen of higher and lower, where to go. I'm pulled apart. Yeah, and then the other one to reflect upon is that what is the main force or feeling that makes you do such things. So when I go back in that company, where the aims are not matching, and I again and again indulge in that company, what makes me do those things? Why do I go there again and again? And then to reflect upon that, what can I do in order to unify myself around the higher aim that I have set for myself? If I have set any aim, what can I do? In what direction to put the effort? So these are a few things which we can take home to reflect upon. Or if you are reflecting right now, we can share if we want to. I think many a times it's also old habits, old patterns, that just every Sunday I have to meet this bunch of friends, and it has been continuing for many years. Just we don't want to break that comfort zone that has developed. So we continue to keep meeting those friends, whether we resonate or not. And also this feeling of rejection, that what would they think about me, and I'll maybe lose my friends and I'll be alone. I don't know, anything can come up in the mind. Yeah, anything? Anybody wants to share any reflection here? Okay, so I'll just move on in that case. The true victory is when the day comes that you can contact the psychic presence at will. That means that whenever throughout the day I want to be in touch with that inner space, inner guiding light, I can do that at will. It's not that I want to, but I'm not able to. So here almost, it's a beautiful, even to read about it, it's so beautiful that the true victory is when after an innumerable, number of efforts that we are putting, when a day comes when you can contact the psychic presence at will. It may take a long time or a short time. And then comes a moment which is not very far off, when as soon as one concentrates and aspires, these are the, I think this below is the words of by the mother, this one. As soon as one concentrates and aspires, the moment I want to be in a meditative state, I am immediately absorbed in a meditative state. That deep place within. It's not that now I have to put so much of effort. And now it's almost like, how we learn an instrument. We see people who are playing guitar so effortlessly, but they have put so many hundreds and thousands of hours of effort in order to play effortlessly. So if I want to effortlessly be meditative, I have to put a lot of effort in order to be meditative. One may not have the power of keeping it all the time, but can get it at will. So here I want to rest. Mother says, rest in your higher consciousness within. And the moment I lie down to rest, I'm immediately absorbed in that higher consciousness. Then from that moment, things becomes very easy. But before they become easy, they are difficult. We all know that, So also it's about, I think, going through that discomfort of when things are difficult. I want to sit for meditation, but the moment I sit, I'm not able to sit. But yet to keep sitting, to also realize that how much we live in the thoughts, feelings, and sensations that we are not able to sit quietly even for 20 conscious breaths. It's so hard. So going through that discomfort, going through that difficult period, just like we go through a difficult period when a new baby is born, when a new child is born, how difficult it is in the beginning for a new parent. A new instrument is being learned, very, very difficult. Your fingers are hurting, but you are still practicing. Why? Because I want to. So that willingness has to be there. The will has to be there. Yeah, anyone? Anything here? Here are a few questions which we can, maybe if you have a pen and a paper, if you want to reflect right now, we can do that. And then we can actually share our reflections. That would be nice if we can do that. Yeah, let's do that. Is it okay if we just take a few moments and maybe do a little reflection on these questions? And if we feel comfortable, we can share. So what weakens my will? What strengthens my will? What is my greatest helper inside of myself? And what is my greatest helper outside of myself? So let us take a pause and reflect over these questions, and then we can share one by one. Yeah, so feel free to unmute and share whenever you are done with the questions and you have anything to share. It would be nice. We can interact with each other.
So, Monica, I have not written it down, but I was just thinking like what comes to my mind, like just in one word, you know.
Yes,
It's
yes.
like, yeah, so what weakens your will? So I feel for the longest time, what has weakened my will is, you know, those conditioned fears, you know, like which they just have had so much power to, you know, just make me feel anxious and weaken my will. So that was for the longest time. What strengthens my will? Again, it is that you know, unknowing awareness within. There is some power within which helps you to move forward and which has, you know, brought you till here, and you know, like has always pointed to this direction of spirituality. So that is also within. I don't know, you know, like where, but yeah, the fear weakens, and this very nice, gentle, you know, like you can say a very enveloping love that, you know, within you, that strengthens your will to, you know, pursue this. And what is one of the greatest helpers inside, personally, what I can understand is, it's for me, inside is patience and compassion. But this outside, I did not understand what is one of the greatest helpers outside yourself. That again, like I think situations and the testing and how it's interconnected, right? And all the time it helps you to reflect, and that is the environment outside. I think this is what I could like gather about, I mean, like just first hand answer, Joe.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Shweta. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, anyone who wants to share their reflections on these questions?
Yeah, I was just about, you know, what happens with me. So weekends, yes, as Shweta said, for me also these fears, you know, they multiple kinds. Acha, you know, ye hua to kya hoga? What if, you know, I take the step and then this happens, which is not going to, you know, according to what I have thought of the outcome. So those fears. What strengthens my will? Sometimes, yes, it has happened is I challenge myself then, you know. He, no, I don't want to, you know, depend on this fear. I'll challenge myself. At max, what is going to happen? I will not get the outcome. So, yes, I'm not able to always, you know, overcome my fear or you know, develop that strong will. But yes, sometimes it happens, and when it happens, it really, as we were discussing, it really gives joy. um, Inside, the greatest strength is, I feel, you know, when I stay calm and just give myself some space, I feel that helps me to, you know, strengthen my will. Outside, I feel those are maybe, you know, as Shweta was also, circumstances, or maybe, you know, even sometimes I feel that if something that I am challenging or, you know, willing to do that requires my physical strength, then that is something that is the outer strength that, you know, is required. That is what is coming to me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Lucky. Yeah. Yeah, Swapna, you wanted to share?
Yeah, sure. So I wrote the answer. So I wrote, what weakens my will? The belief that I have a weak will, or that I can't become as strong as I'd like to. And also when I don't exercise hard. What strengthens my will? Sport, a positive mood, what is one of the greatest helpers inside myself? The presence of the mother when I tap into it. And so that also made me notice that I have the option to tap into it, and those times that I don't. So very interesting. That whole awareness came in. What is one of the greatest helpers outside myself? I wrote you, Monica, and some of the sessions we have, some of the things you say, and also imagining other people that I admire or heroes, and I imagine what would they do in this situation, which also made me go to, there's that quote, I think it's Sri Aurobindo saying that the mother is always with you and she's always act and be as if she's there watching, because indeed she is. So it's somehow all linked to that, but then also the people, that represent something positive. Yeah, it can be very inspiring. And yeah.
I think I agree. People who are inspirational, just like we can remember, not people really, divine beings, immortal beings. And whenever even we think of them, it gives up kind of an uplift that, yes, let's move on, let's march forward. So absolutely, these words of masters are really very powerful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yes. Yeah. Anyone who wants to share next? Anything, reflection coming of these questions? I think this reminded me of one thing that I had shared with you earlier also, that the importance of company, the kind of friends we have, what kind of things we can talk with those friends, because on the namesake we may have many, many friends, but when we really want to talk heart to heart, we have hardly a couple. Good that we have at least a couple. So to have good company of people where a very transparent talk can be done, things can be brainstormed, and things that matter can be discussed. I think that's very, very crucial. And that's what Buddha said, to take refuge in the Buddha, the divine, the mother, or the enlightened beings, the dharma, which is all these words full of illumination, and the sangha, which is the community, which is a community of people where you have shared aim, you have a shared, just like we have this platform and all of us are on this path, so whatever we talk, the other person resonates with, that yes, I have also felt that, and maybe we get take away something home from that. So importance of company is a great helper outside of us. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Anyone else? Sambhav or Jayashree, if you have anything to share, Mohanji, anything to add on? So I wanted to touch upon, in absence of any further comments, let's touch upon this element of rejection. So rejection is a very important element, because if I do not reject the movements which are ugly, how will I make something beautiful? So first, there has to be this conscious light within, that yes, I recognize that this was not a right place. It was not coming from a place of purity. To recognize that movement and to reject all that movements, all those thoughts and feelings which are not in alignment with my deeper being. So without rejection, just like we, clean the dals and the lentils and the pulses or the rice, whatever we have to clean it off. We cannot cook it along with the stones, because if we do, then we will have to eat the stones, and that would not be very nice. So about rejection, there is something, let's read this. There are a few inner movements which help in the discovery of the psychic. Psychic means the inner divine guiding light, or the presence, the true individuality. And yet there are others which hinder. So it's not that I have to banish all thoughts full of kindness, compassion, generosity, love for myself and the others, progress for myself and the others. All those thoughts have to be promoted. But the thoughts which are promoting ill will, hatred, jealousy, greed, all those have to be rejected. That no, I don't want to follow it. To reject those, to refuse its influence by detaching yourself from it. So how do we detach? We keep on practicing. We become the awareness which is aware of the thought, of the feeling. And as that awareness, now I can know which one to follow, which one not to follow. But when I am in the river of the thought and feelings, I have no charge. So detachment, like being the aware witness of thoughts and feelings, and then seeing what is discriminating, what is necessary, what is not necessary, that's very crucial. You do not judge it, this influence that took you away from your inner self. So that awareness is a non-judgmental awareness. It does not demean you or say, oh, you lowly creature, how dare you do that? Because that's again another thought. That's again another thought. Thought of judgment, thought of doubt, weakness, all these are just thoughts. I just not have to follow those thoughts. So we don't judge from a space of judgmental awareness. It's a very discriminating awareness. It's not judgmental, like looking down or looking up. But you also do not justify by putting blame on something or someone. So it's a very neutral kind of a presence within the awareness with which we observe and discriminate our thoughts and feelings. Very neutral. It just is beauty. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. So wherever there is truth, there must be beauty. So the ability to recognize the beautiful movements and the ability to reject the ugly movements. You simply stand apart from it without getting emotionally involved. You step back, detach yourself. You do not accept it and you do not allow it to express itself. So if a feeling of rage and anger and maybe regret or whatever negative comes up, I detach myself from it because I've been practicing. Only then I'll be able to do that. And I see it and I check, okay, whether is it a good movement. I really don't want to follow it anymore. I don't want to win that argument. I don't want to be right. Let me lose the game, but let me retain the beauty. And many a times you will also be winning the game, but it's not like, ha ha ha, I won the game, not like that. So, yeah. So not to express itself, not to express the jealousy, not to express the anger and rage. Why are you not expressing? Because it's not worthy. It's a little bit different from suppression. Yeah, let me read this, and then there is also something about suppression here. Yeah, rejection and suppression, and then after that we can end. So this is something from the mother. It would be nice if one of us can read it, just like you did before. Yeah, anyone who would like to read it?
Rejection. If you refuse to express everything that is of a lower kind, little by little, the very thing disappears, and the consciousness is emptied of lower things. It is by refusing to give expression, I mean, not only in action, but also in thought, in feeling. When impulses, thoughts, emotions come, if you refuse to express them, if you push them aside and remain in a state of inner aspiration and calm, then gradually they lose their force and stop coming. So the consciousness is emptied of the lower movements.
Yeah, thank you, Swapna. So it's very, very, very clearly expressed, and nothing needs to be elaborated here, that if we continue to see the ugly movements and continue to reject them, slowly, this is an action of purification happening. Just like we purify our lentils and rice and everything, we purify it by winnowing and, by doing all kind of purification processes. Just like that, I also have to continue to purify my own being. Yeah.
Monica, here I think this, I mean, not only in action, but also in thought, in feeling, this is so important because, I think that is the biggest difference between suppression and actually, refusing to give it energy. So, so I think that's very important because otherwise this could be taken as, just suppressing what you're feeling. It doesn't mean that, yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So that's why I think in this book, there was also something on suppression because it goes hand in hand. As Shweta said, that we may be suppressing, that there is a lot of anger there and I know I should express it, but because I am told not to, so I'm rejecting it. So that's something else, and that's not what rejection means. Rejection means that there is some part in me which is growing further, which knows that it's not right and beneficial for me to express the movement of the ego. So that knowing is there. That knowing is developing and growing. So, yeah, the whole movement of rejection, where I am rejecting all the movements which are ugly, the whole movement of rejection is done without getting upset. So one may get upset, oh my God, jealousy is still there in me. Oh my God, anger is still there in me. Not really, going there because yes, they will be there in us. We are all human beings and we are on a path of purification. So if I am not impure, then what is the purpose of purification? So impurities are going to be there and we don't have to get upset about it. So the whole movement is done without getting upset, taking a stance as awareness. One cannot get upset. When you reject, you recognize that a lower thought or feeling is showing itself in you, but then you choose not to identify with it. So there is this blue sky and then there are clouds in the blue sky. Clouds are thoughts, feelings, sense perceptions. And blue sky is the sky of awareness, knowing myself as awareness. Now, the moment I see a very, very dark cloud, very intense dark cloud, or even less darker clouds, and I see that this is not beneficial for me to harbor that cloud, I notice it and I know myself as the blue sky. I do not give much importance to that cloud and slowly it withers away. As Shweta was saying, that not to give fuel to it, not to give energy to it, not to allow to express itself further in you. You remain calm, you look at it without getting involved, and we can do that only when we have been practicing, even in good times. Then you leave it aside. So disidentification, knowing myself not as that thought or feeling, knowing myself as the awareness which is beyond thoughts and feelings and sense perceptions, that is very important. That is very important. So this is the difference, here a few words on difference between rejection and suppression. So Mother has also said somewhere that don't try to be an angel in this world if you are not already an angel in your heart and mind and within. So she has always talked about to be very wary of hypocrisy, that I show something else and that I am something else. Not like that. It is no use at all hiding things and pushing them behind like this. So she must have made a gesture and imagining that they are not there. One has put a veil in front. And what happens when we push things, beside and imagine that they are not there and I am all purified? What happens is that they rot after some time. And they make their presence felt. So my idea, that's why Mother would say, give your shadows to me. Give all that is ugly you have to me. Not only all that is beautiful, but also all that is ugly, because that's what needs purification. So don't think that you're already purified. None of us is. We are all on this path of purification. The bad movements have to rise to the surface to show themselves so that they can get the light, the divine light, and can get purified. So let them come up. Let them come up. Good that they're coming up. Good that jealousy has come up today, that I know that I am jealous. I still am jealous. The movement is still in me. So Sri Aurobindo shares that the difference between suppression and an inward rejection is the difference between mental or moral control and a spiritual purification. So when I'm morally trying to suppress something, then I'll be hiding it away. What happens with us, when we have maybe read too much of scriptures, and then we tend to be a very enlightened human being, but under, everything is haywire within. So that is a moral facade that we put on, that I am a saintly creature, because everyone appreciates that. So the mind game has not changed. I am still seeking approvals. While rejection is a inward purification, it's a spiritual purification. That whether people say anything or not, this is important for my growth and my inner purity. So the most important thing that matters is your inner purity. So we are not doing this to show it to anybody. That's the main catch. We are doing it for our own self. This purification is happening for our own self. Yeah. Anything here? Anyone? Yeah, I think this one, last slide, and then we can take up reflections and end. Rejection must be accompanied by an acknowledgement of the mistake or a weakness, at the same time not wanting it to continue. So that I know that jealousy is there in me, or hate is there, ill will is there in me, but I really don't want to nurture it. So some part of me is convinced that I don't want to nurture it. So you offer it to the mother, look, this tendency is still there. You take care of it. You don't do anything about it. You just offer it to the divine. Look, this is still there. So you don't follow its dictates. You offer them if you say, well, this is how I am. And if at the same time you have the aspiration to be different, that I would like to be better, then this second of presence, this 1 second of presence is extremely useful. You can, yes, in few seconds, receive the help you need to get rid of them. And it actually helps, happens within few seconds. The moment something in you has decided that this ugly movement is there and I have lived it enough and I don't want to live it anymore, I offer it to you, Mother. You are not fueling it anymore. Slowly, 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 it loses grip over us. So Mother says that even in this few seconds of deep aspiration and offering and rejecting and not following the dictate, something shifts within. Now you don't take any more juice or rasa from that, following that movement. Yeah, anything? Anyone on rejection, suppression, or anything? Yes, Jashri, yes.
Yeah, Monica, we had I'm from Bangalore. So we have, like Diwali, there is one festival called Kartike where we used to decorate the house with diyas and all that. So when I was lighting the diya during the Diwali time, I was telling Mother that let the darkness in me be purified, and by lighting all this diya. But this time, during the Kartige time, first, without, I didn't know, the thought came that let the darkness in everybody go and fill it with light. But that gave me, I felt good. But the next time when I became conscious of the thought, I was, no, why am I doing like that? It was a good prayer from the beginning, but when it came unconsciously, I don't know what to say. Is unconscious the right way? I don't know. But even I was shocked that see how I am. I thought I'm very good and I can pray for everybody and all that. See, the next time the first thought was good. The second was second didn't like the first thought actually. Why should I do this? Why should I pray for everybody? Why should I say that let the darkness be removed? But somehow I was aware of the second thought more than the first thought. Then I backed up. Then, as you said, so this is the contradiction in me, that I'm both. So then I didn't know what to do. Then I said, Mother, see, I don't know how to deal with the darkness. I really don't know how to deal the darkness within me and with the others. But when a good prayer came, then it is followed by the wrong moment. So, and then, as you said, I offered it to Mother, and then that's it. I didn't know what to do, what else to do after that. So then I realized that, see, we say that, yeah, we are going to satsang and workshop and all that. What's a long journey, a long way to go within myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think this is beautiful to recognize that although we keep on saying that we have goodwill for people, but we don't have goodwill for people.
Yes, it's very, very difficult to think, or that's for me. I will say maybe in the words, but not in, when it comes to real life, it's a long way to go.
Yeah. And yet, Jayashree, that you have been there. You have once prayed that may this darkness in all the beings may turn to light. So it's not that you did not get a taste of it. And also the joy that it gave you. Now, I was actually going to share something with you here, which I have already shared earlier also. This thing called Tonglen, which I had shared in the workshop also. So where the moment you see an action of maybe jealousy, anger, or any movement which is not very pleasant, any suffering that you are going through, you say that I connect with all the people who are suffering like this. I inhale their suffering. Now, the moment I'm inhaling their suffering, something in me will say, oh my God, why am I inhaling their suffering? Just like you said that, why am I praying for all the darkness of all the beings may all turn to light? So that is nothing but the egoistic consciousness, which is always scared of its preservation. And the moment I inhale all the darkness and let the resistance from the ego be there, and yet inhale and exhale wellness and contentment out, you actually shatter the ego. So although you did step back from something good that happened, but you can step forward again. So don't give it too much of importance. Don't give that resistance too much of importance. Yeah. So
no, when I felt that something that good, I felt something was expanding inside me. The second thought came, I can feel that shrinking thing happening inside me. That was just for a fraction of a second, but I really felt it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that little thing that is there within us, which shrinks and which feels very, very scared of for itself, that's what we have to work at. That's in all of us. And the moment I connect with other people who are suffering and exhale wellness and contentment for them also, slowly going through this discomfort of the ego, I think slowly things become even more easy. Yeah. So it's very powerful what you shared. Even for a fraction of second, if that thought came to you that may the darkness of all the beings be turned into light. Beautiful. More power to you. Yeah. Great. So yes, anything to share here?
I'm glad that rejection and suppression thing was taken, because long time, I used to feel that, I have rejected a few thoughts, a few feelings that were there, and I'm like, no, I am kind of, I've taken care of and I'm rid of it. But soon I realized that those feelings, those emotions have again started coming back, and they're coming out with higher intensity. And that helped me realize that actually I was not rejecting, but I was actually just suppressing. And that suppressing thing is like a spring. I was talking about this yesterday with my friend, that, you know, आप जितना जोर से spring को दबाओ, वो उतना, you know, with that intensity, it bounces back. And it is then you realize that, oh my God, what were you doing? And,
Yeah.
but I'm glad that today he came in, because even the about the will, the strong will, there are a few things that I have to do in my life, and somehow that will, you know, that strong will is still not. It's like it's not just coming to me. So you know, that effort or that has to be done by me to, you know, to reach you know, to that strong will. So I'm glad that I came in the session today.
Yeah, glad for your presence also, Rakhi. And beautiful example, the one that you shared, like a spring, you know, that the more you press it down, the more strong with revenge it comes back. Yes.
It comes back, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've experienced that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. I think most of us would resonate with that. The more we suppress, the more it comes with a bang. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Monica, I had just a clarification I wanted to ask. There was one of the slides towards the end on rejection, which said the whole movement is done without getting upset. And when you reject, you recognize that lower thought or feeling. And I was just curious, is that something that was a quote from the mothers, or is that like an exercise? Because then at the end, you've got disidentify or Tonglen. And I was just curious about, it's, I think, third from the last or fourth from the last that we looked at under rejection, starting with the whole movement. Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just wondering, that first para, is it?
No, so I think it's not the words by the mother, mm-hmm. but words taken up by from the book that I was referring to, the workbook on psychic education, that the whole movement is done without getting upset. So I cannot do it like, oh, I don't want to have you, you know, not like that, but taking a stance as awareness and knowing, discriminating what is beneficial for me and what is really not helping me. So not really done from a state of like, you know, where we are usually.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
In your slides, when I see an M, is that usually a quote directly from the mothers?
M is directly from the mother.
Okay.
Yes.
Understand.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And I resonated with the other speaker again just now. That's very true about developing the will. I too was thinking of, you know, like, what is it that could help me develop it for myself? And an idea that I thought was like, maybe to make one step, but the same step that maybe I'm going to practice for 1 week or for 3 days, you know, so every time I find myself caught up in something, just because I notice then I'll get distracted by, oh, I could do meditation, I could stay with the breath, I could go read a book, I could do some sport. And then many times then ego will hijack it with, no, but do some work first. Right. But in the
nothing
work,
happens.
Yeah, it's not very inspiring. Maybe it's optional work, and still I just get caught in the mundane. But maybe just to say, okay, how about if I just practice developing the will by saying no? So I can't get lost. I'm just gonna maybe, I don't know, I haven't decided on which one, but I've tried staying with the breath, but my mind is very clever. It can do the breathing and it can worry and fret at the same time. So instead I'm thinking, okay, stay with the breathing and layer it on with an activity such as perhaps go for a walk, even if it's 10 minutes. You know, just for something like that.
Yes. I think this is very important, to take one little thing and to continue with that for some time, because the mind really and this was actually a research done where in a departmental store, people, you know, earlier they had only one variety of jam and people would come and take it because there was nothing else. Then they started to keep more jams. And slowly people got so confused that there was less consumption of jams because, you know, which one to take, you know, one is not able to really understand. So it really confuses. Too many options is too confusing. And that's why if we have limited 2, 3, okay, let me pick from these 2 and stay with that for a longer duration, like every day 10 minutes, every day 10 minutes. So that continuity, even if you are not giving much variety, that continuity is very important. So if you choose breath by chance, if in any case you choose breath, stay with that process of being with conscious breathing. In the morning, maybe 10 minutes, in the evening or in the afternoon, 10 minutes, spread it as you wish, but follow that movement for some time. Otherwise, clack and we have nothing. So this practice, continuing practice, is very important, especially in good times, so that when challenging time comes, I can easily take a stance as awareness. Yeah. Okay, then everyone, thank you so much for sharing, coming and joining and reflecting, and very, very honest reflections. Thank you so much. And yeah, that's all.
Thanks,
you,
Monica.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Monica.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Thank
Monica.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.